Welcome to First Play.
In First Play, we review games a little differently.
Our focus is to check if the game can be played the way it comes in the box without the need for external assistance.
You know, rules, clarifications, YouTube tutorials, or checking rules in online forums.
So we play the game a bunch of times, noting down any ambiguity in rules or cards or titles or figurines, make a judgment call, and then later we check our interpretations against official errata, clarifications, how to play videos, and forum discussions.
Today we are checking the level of purity of Pathfinder adventure card game. This is the Rise of the Rune Lords box. We were sent this game by Paizo and accepted it for review with the condition that we were going to be absolutely sincere in our taking on the game.
So let's start by very briefly covering how you play the game, shall we?
Yeah.
So this is a card game. There are no boards, although you kind of you create your board, you create the table, right?
Because everything has its own place.
Yes, exactly.
The first thing you do in this game is to assemble your deck. So you have a number of cards that you can...
Yeah, you choose a character. The game comes
the first
with...
thing you choose a character.
Yeah, I think the game comes with how many characters? 8 characters? 6 characters?
Yeah,
but
lots of characters.
Yeah, if you purchase the character that on deck, it comes with
more
4 more characters.
Yeah. In the character sheet, you have the types of cards you use to assemble your deck. So each character has a different set of cards that you can use.
So you have a token that represents where your character are, your stats, and a bunch of cards that is your equipment, weapons, spells, armor, item, ally, and blessings. These are the kinds of cards you have. You have a pile in which you draw cards. You have your hand. Every character has a different amount of hand size. And your discard pile. Your hand and your deck is kind of your hit points, more or less your hit points.
Yeah.
There is player elimination in this game, kinda, but it's very hard. Yes, you have to really work on it in order to be killed in the game. You start the game by choosing your adventure or your scenario. You can play only one standalone scenario and the let's call it a match. You end the match and then you're done. You pick up the cards, place them in the box, go away. Or you can play, and this is the cool part, you can play an adventure or even an adventure path.
In each scenario, you have locations that you go with your characters. Depending on the scenario and the number of players, you have different number of locations.
The base set comes with one adventure. The number 1 here, you can see the number 1 here, number one here, it's burnt offerings. The box has spaces, kind of these steps here, so you can put them. If you are playing the adventure, you're going to play in order because they increase in difficulty. This is the box for the Rise of the Rune Lord. So it comes with the card that establishes the adventures that comprise the adventure path Rise of the Rune Lords. Each of those is one of the adventures. So you begin again with the burnt offerings, and then you can purchase the Skin Shaw Murders, and then these are number 1, number 2, and then number 3, 5, and 6. So 6 adventures.
Lots of adventures.
Yeah, to complete the adventure path. Now, we lost a bunch of times. It's not the kind of game that you just pick up the rule book and you start flipping the page and assembling everything and play as you read the rules book. You have to sit down and read the rule book at least once, probably a couple of times, until you get the game. It's full of stuff. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of minutia, tiny detail that is very clear after you played once or twice.
It's like an RPG heritage. You have to read everything.
That's one of the things I like about this game. It's an RPG by any other name.
Yeah.
You play with cards, there's no DM, but it's one of the reasons we play Runebound so much. We like the experience of an RPG without all the
trouble.
And the theatrics and and a GM.
Yeah.
This is Pathfinder. This is Pathfinder. Every scenario tells you which locations to pick up. There's a bunch of locations here. There are certain features in each location, certain stuff that happens or helps you or hinders you, or it's just something that happens neutral there in each location. And there's a list of cards you use to create the deck of encounters.
Those are the encounters that you are gonna have in each location. Next thing is to grab the villain from this scenario, and a bunch of henchmen that the scenario tells you to use.
In this case, Black Fang's dungeon is Black Fang, the black dragon.
You shuffle them, and without knowing where they go, you put one in each location.
And then we shuffle the locations.
We shuffle the location deck.
We shuffle the encounters. So we don't know where the monsters are, where there are monsters here, but we don't know where the villain and the henchman are. The object of the game is to find
and defeat the villain.
Yes. One thing that makes this card game, different from an RPG is that you don't play forever. There is a time here. We are on a timer. You pick up 30 blessings cards. Every time you play, every time is your turn, you pick up one of the cards and turn them. And you flip them toward your side. So I know that it was my turn. Luciana does this, so she knows it's her turn. And then me again. When you do that, it's your round. You are using up one of the time slots that we have. So we don't have to go headlong, just barging in. We have to prepare for the monsters and the villains, but we cannot take too long, because if the timer ends, we lose.
We lose the game.
And so you use your tokens. If you have the characters, if you have the character figurines, you can use the character. I guess you can use the character figurines instead of the cards, right?
Yeah, because it's just a token.
Yeah, I have here my hand, and Luciana and we tend to play with our cards in front of us because
it's an option that you have, because
it's a cooperative game after all. I'm not hiding any cards from her, but you can play with your cards in your hand, no problem. And then you decide where you're going. I'm going to go to the throne room. I'm going to explore. I turn the first card and I see it's an item, and there's a check for me to see if I can grab this item. If it's a good thing, it's called a boon. If it's a bad thing, it's called a bane. If it's a good thing, if it's a boon, and I fail to meet the test, it goes away. It goes back into the box. If it's a bane, it usually gives me damage or something like that, and then it goes back into the deck. It's still here. Monsters and barriers, usually they come back. You have to succeed against them so they can go out of the deck. And then I forgot. The game comes with dice. It wouldn't be a meta RPG without
not that much dice.
Yeah. It comes with, in our case, it came with the blue dice, but we
don't have a problem with dice.
We have some dice, right? So I picked up a couple of more. I picked up some more dice. There's no D20 because you don't roll to attack or anything. You always attack with your cards. But there is a D12, D10, D8, D64. I pick up a couple more. You are going to usually roll 2 or 3 of the same dice, especially if you use stuff to boost your roll. So one set of dice, okay, you can just roll the D12 twice or 3 times, but we found it best to do like this. So
we like to use lots of dice.
Yeah. So I check here. I have check to acquire intelligence. If I'm specialized, knowledge. Do I? Yes, I have intelligence. Inside of intelligence, I have knowledge. So I roll 1d6 plus 3. I have to roll 1d6 plus 3 to get at least an 8. Not a lot, right? But fortunately, I have here Blessing of the Gods. Allows me to add one of my dice again. So 2d6 plus 3. That's pretty good. And 5 plus 3, 6, 7, 8. I got it. I got the codex. It comes into my hand. The blessing is discarded. And that's it. That's my round. And then is Luciana. She's going to choose where to go. And we go moving through the locations until we find either a henchman or a villain. And then there comes a moment in which you come into a henchman. So there's a henchman in the throne room. There are rules that you have to follow. And they're usually tough monsters. Sometimes there are tough traps, but usually tough monsters. If you face them and you win, you deplete the encounter deck and check if the villain is here. If it's not, the location is closed. Oh, sorry. You have to try and close. So in this case, when closing, succeeded a charisma or diplomacy 6 check. For the paladin, kind of easy. I can, since I'm in the same location, I can use one of my powers to give her extra dice, and then you close the location. It's the same card, but without the characteristics, only the description. If anything different happens at this location, it's still here, and the card is kind of sepia or black and white. It's closed. All those cards go away. Eventually, we found the villain here. If we defeat the villain, we pick up. There's still how many locations? 3 locations. So the villain is going to escape. We don't defeat it like for good right now. I pick up a couple of there are 3. So the villain plus 2 more blessings. Pick up the blessings, shuffle them, put them in the remaining decks. I can put it upside down. Yeah, and we shuffle the decks. So the villain escaped. But then we have the opportunity to close on yet another location. So we go closing locations. If we found the villain and we didn't defeat the villain beat us, the villain is still flees. But instead of picking up blessings from the box and adding to the game, we pick up blessings from our timer. But the villain flees anyway, we can close the location anyway. So 2 locations closed. Let's say we have 3 locations closed. And then we finally find the villain. So there's only 1 location left. Time is running out. Just hit the microphone there. And you finally confront the villain. And if you beat him, you win the game. Congratulations, you win you hit the reward that is here on the scenario card. If the villain beats you, you usually get punished. And you either way end the scenario, but you don't get the reward. And then you move on to the next scenario if you're playing adventure. If it's the last scenario, you lost adventure, and then you don't get the rewards. But either way, you move on. And then we finish the game with a lot of extra cards. Sometimes you banish cards, which means that they go away back into the box. Sometimes you bury cards, which means that they go below your character card. You don't use them for the rest of the game, but they're still yours. You usually end a scenario with more cards than you started with. You have to assemble your deck again. So you check all the cards you have. You can trade cards with the other players, but you are limited to what there is here. So Lem can only have 1 weapon and 4 spells, no armor, 2 items, 3 allies, and 5 blessings. In your case is 3 weapons, 1 spell, 3 armors, no items, 2 allies, and 6 blessings. And any extra cards you still own, they go back into the box. But you usually got better allies, better weapons, better blessings. I think they're pretty generic, but like better spells, better armor. You pick up your card, you pick up your token, and you put them here. There is a space for a bunch of characters here. You put them here. Next time when you play, your character is here with all the upgrades. And there is even the possibility that if you look here at the card, you see that there are boxes for you to check if you get a level. So I can get like more strength or more charisma, or I can have, like, instead of carrying 1 weapon, I'll be able to carry 2. Instead of having no armor, I'll be able to carry 1 armor. The game says you should use a pencil here, but I think it's better if you have one of those card sleeves. You buy them by the hundreds, and you just put your character inside a card sleeve, and you check it with a Sharpie. Or even if you don't have those, you can just grab an acetate sheet and just cut it in the format and just put it here. But this I think is a better idea. Yeah. You just right.
Because if you erase something here, it's gonna damage the card.
Yeah, with time they're gonna.
We don't want to do that.
Yeah, these are very, very cheap. You buy them like, I don't know, it's $4 or $5 a deck with 400. I don't know. I have a bunch of those, so I think it's a better idea. Now, let's go to our opinion of the game. First of all, this is emulating an RPG. It's been a while since I had time to play RPGs. That's why I play so many board games. You don't even like RPGs.
No.
So this is kind of a way for me to play an RPG without actually being an RPG, and for you to play an RPG too without even liking it. So I was surprised by how well the game is being made. But then again, it's by Mike Selinker. The guy doesn't disappoint. And you have the option to have just a standalone game or continue a story in a better way than Runebound does it. Yet again, if you don't purchase the extra adventures, you are kind of stuck with the same adventure. And that's, I think that's a downside of the game. It's not a cheap game. It's a $60 game. And then you pay MSRP $20. The game can get very expensive. Kind of like Dungeon Command by Wizards of the Coast. Not really a $30 game. It's a $60 game if you want to play with 2 people. It's a $90 game if you want to play with 3 people. So it can get expensive in order for you to have, let's say, the full
experience.
Yeah, the full adventure path, the full experience of the Rise of the Rune Lord adventure path. There are other boxes with their own adventure paths, and it's for 110 cards. This is what, 2 decks of cards? 110, yeah. So I know there is a lot of art involved here, a lot of manpower involved in making those, but they are kind of expensive. That's a downside. Something else that I liked the game. Usually when we have games with plastic inserts, either they work very, very well or they don't work at all, and we end up throwing them away and just using the box and using plastic bags to put the cards or the components in. It's something that increases the price of the game, having those plastic trays, but they usually are only used for storing the game in between sessions, not with Rise of the Rune Lords. And I wish more companies did this. The tray is the tray you use in the game. You
let it in the box.
Yes, you take the cards out of the plastic wraps and you put them here. There's a schematic in the rule book where everything goes, and the order makes sense, and the places you have to pick up cards. And later, you just... Excuse me, Dragon. You just... close the box. Ta-da! You close the box, and it's here. Although the way we store our games, they're like this. Yeah, but if you are a normal person and you store your games lying down instead of upside, instead of standing, the game is ready to play.
Yeah. And they thought about the expansions as well. There are spaces for you to put the other cards from the expansions.
Once you open all the expansions, this is going to be full, and you're not going to need this here. This we have to put here because the henchmen were...
We have few henchmen.
Yeah.
I think the game, first of all, is beautiful. The art of the game is beautiful. And it's a simple game with complex rules. Not rules, but complex cards and things that you have to take care. You have to take care of the rules in each card to pay attention, because we lost sometimes because I didn't pay attention to the rules of the cards.
It's very easy to forget that you have some powers or that you have a card that does a very specific thing. But
everything is on your hand, on the table.
There's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of do a little accounting.
Yeah. And there are some powers that your character has, so you have to pay attention on that. I don't think you need to worry about getting bored because you don't have the expansions in a month, I think, because you can change the characters. You can use the same scenarios and play with different characters. So each character has different powers and can have different items, and sometimes you can't have a weapon or items or spells, so it's a different experience. And you will definitely need more dice.
Yeah, I don't think that's mandatory. It helps.
It's not. But if you are used to play other games or RPGs, something like that, you're going to be annoyed by just one dice.
One set of dice.
One set of dice. Yeah.
But fortunately, those are cheap, and you can, if you have more games, you can pick up more dice from those games. Let me talk.
Maybe you already have.
Yeah.
Like us.
Let me talk now about the rule book itself. So there's a lot of stuff here, but one thing that kind of annoyed me, but at the same time I was happy it was here. This rulebook assumes you never played a board game in your life.
Yeah.
It's going to explain to you how to roll dice.
Yeah.
It's going to explain to you how to read cards. And so if you have played, if you're watching this, you probably have a couple of games in your collection. You will skip huge chunks of the rule book, and it's going to be a skinnier rule book. So don't get when you look at the rule book, it's a 24-page rule book, which is a little beefier than usual. Of course, there are games with 60-page rule books, but it's not a lot of stuff you have to read here unless you are playing a board game for the first time in your life. Something else that I like it repeats, it annoys us, but it's a good thing. It repeats information. When it describes how to face a card that is a boon, a good thing, it's going to explain to you in minutiae, in tiny little detail. And then the next paragraph explains how to face a bane.
And then it has an example.
Yeah, it's going to repeat everything and then the example. Yeah. So after your first read, you will get it. Although that makes some important stuff buried in the rule book. Like how do you do if you face a monster, like it's a combat check, without weapons? We had to scour the rule book until we found a paragraph, like a sentence inside a paragraph lost in the middle of the rule book. Yeah. It's the kind of game that gets easier the more you play, and you will check the rule book all the time. Something that we usually do, which we recommend you do, somebody with the rule book and somebody with either a phone or a tablet or a laptop with the PDF version that Paizo offers for free at the official website.
It's easier to find information.
Also, it makes it easier for finding information because you just type it.
Yeah.
You can use the search feature in the PDF to find the thing you were looking for. Although there is a reference sheet at the very last page. We ended up not using this very much. But
it's not difficult.
Yeah, there's a section here, few rules that are easy to forget. It's good. We have a couple of games that have this. It's a good thing to have here. But the game, after you played 3-4 times, the game gets easier. It's a lot of tiny little details, but the pattern repeats. So, yeah.
We found out all the information that we needed in the rule book.
And then that takes us to our verdict. Thus, Pathfinder, it's a big name, Pathfinder Adventure Card Game Rise of the Rune Lords base set, does it pass muster? Does it pass the first play gauntlet?
Yeah, I think it passes because you can, just using the everything that is on the box, you can play unless you don't have...
You need dice, yeah. But I'm also referring to the fact that we had a couple of doubts playing. Yeah. Even on, we found tiny little nuggets of doubt that we had trouble finding in the rule book. But every time we had to check it online, we saw that the information was in the rule book and it was clear in the rule book. So. It's just that we are kind of stupid and we didn't find it in the rule book. No. It was there. So it's a pass. It passes the first play. You can play the game out of the box using only the rule book. You don't need to use anything online or go to forums, although of course they're there. If the rule book guides you through medium to easy. Yeah. And after you played a couple of times, you start getting the game.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us a lot. And we'll be seeing you next episode. We're back, so there will be a next episode next month. We would like to have more frequent episodes, but it takes a month, even sometimes 2 months, for us to play the game. completely to a point in which we are absolutely comfortable reviewing the game and telling if the game passes the first play check.
Thank you for watching First Play, and see you next time! Each character has a number of cards that it can have. Monster.
Oh, I found the villain.
I found the villain.
Yeah. But you don't need to watch the tutorial. You don't need to watch the. Thank you for playing.
Thank you for
Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. Yeah.